I am Thor, son of Odin, and as long as there is life in my breast, I am running out of things to say.
Great, another broken white boy for us to fix.
That's my secret, Cat. I'm always angry.
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are. With great power comes great responsibility. I can do this all day.
Wakanda forever!
And welcome, internets, to another episode of Views from the 616, the blackest MCU podcast in the multiverse. Powered by For All Nerds, where we discuss everything in the MCU from the perspective of people of color. And it is one of your hosts, Tatiana King, a.k.a. Fax the Destroyer. Tesseract Thompson, coldest winter soldier ever. Doc Aki, and he who cannot be shamed. And as always, I'm joined by my bespectacled co-host.
It's your boy, DJ Ben Amin, a.k.a. Ben Amin, the Living Amplifier, DJ by Night, Briss Blairmont, Tan the Man Lee, the Planetoid Paladin, NBA Youngboy, never blipped again. Here in the spaceship.
My favorite. I love that one. That's forever going to be my fave until you come up with something even more incredible.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. But as I said, welcome everybody to Views from the 616. We are here again this week to talk Moon Knight, episode 2. And let me just give you the quick basic plot. It's going down in the city tonight as Steven/Marc takes a little trip to Amit Town. You're in the right ends because you're in our yard now and it's fight night. In one corner, Moon Knight, and in the other, a Jackal by Night. Plus, we meet the mysterious Layla, no Clapton. And things take a dark turn for our hero on the second episode of Moon Knight.
I'm always here for Clapton slander.
For you that don't know, Ben Amin writes these plot descriptions, and he's having a blast. I could tell by all of the little metaphors and stuff he throws in here. This episode 2 was directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, which is a writer-director team. Ben, I mean, do you know any of the work that they've done before?
What is it? I know the one, Archive 81. I peeped the pilot of that joint. I enjoyed the pilot. I heard the rest of it is weird as the pilot was. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's about it.
Just overall, I enjoyed episode 2. Again, I just thought, for me, it just continued on the path of just being well-paced. It gave you enough of the suspense and the whole unreliable narrator piece that we spoke about in depth in episode 1. Just trying to put you in a sense of exactly what's going on, right? Or questioning what's going on. And do you believe Steven about what he sees and what he thinks versus what you see when Marc has taken over? And you start to see this part of the, I guess, transition where you see more of Marc. They're kind of peeling him back. They're peeling back the layers little by little. You're seeing more of Marc. You're seeing more of his story, of who this person is. You're getting that. And also how it's in real time affecting Steven, right? How him learning about this person that he feels is inside him and taking over his life. And we're seeing how this isn't, even though this is the first time Steven at least outwardly seems to be expressing knowledge of Marc, it seems like there's been issues going on for a long time, as evidenced by some comments said by the HR director or whatever that person was in the museum.
Yeah, and it's also backed up by a few other moments in this episode. We talked about in our overall view on which you can find on YouTube, where we give you a no spoiler of the first 4 episodes. The first times I watched these episodes, I kind of was like, I don't know about these first 4 overall. Now, the second time I watched this one, I was really all in on it. I have to say, this has it better than the first episode. I really enjoyed the pilot. And I thought the second episode was even better because it really starts getting into the mythos of Moon Knight, as well as the mythos and dealing with this mental issue that Moon Knight Marc Spector, multiple other names, has, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked the way they handled it in the second episode. And I think we're about to get into these, themes, but I think we need to add another one to this list real quick. So let's just, get on into the themes of the episode.
We got it that time.
There we go.
So you know what, Ben? Since you've mentioned it, let's just start right there with one of the major themes being the trauma of mental illness. And as I mentioned, like you're starting to see the very first throes of how this revelation of Marc Spector, how that's affecting Steven and vice versa, right? How the fight of Marc trying to take over Steven and trying to, because he has all this work to do, as he keeps saying, I got shit to do, I got plans, how that's affecting him as well. Because what we mentioned about dissociative identity disorder, what Steven / Marc seems to be suffering from, the fact is each of these alter egos, but they shorten it to alters. Each of these alters have their own personal, distinct view of the world, distinct memories, distinct lives, etc. So you're technically dealing with two separate people. If you forget the fact that it's Oscar Isaac, okay, one person playing this person, he's playing really two very distinct, separate characters. And yes, it shows in the accents that he uses. It just shows in the approach of each character, in the personalities, but it also shows in his movements, right? And this is why, again, I just want to just give all the flowers to Oscar for this role, because and to me, he's just doing it in a respectful way. Like he's not making a mockery of it. Like he's showing the depth of this trauma and the depth of all the emotions that happen, and really unique emotions happening between these two characters.
Mm-hmm. No, I fully agree with that. And like I said, I really like how this episode really gets into the darkness of it. And since we're talking about being down bad and everything, that's the question still remains for me is, who is the dominant personality? What is like the origin of this dissociative identity disorder for them? Because once again, like, okay, we are introduced to Layla, and Layla brings up that she knows about Marc's mom, but Steven has been talking to his mom on the phone.
Wait, Steven has been talking to Marc's mom, or Steven's been talking to his own mom?
He's been talking to his own mom, but she says, "Oh, you and your mom are talking again." And Steven responds, but she's referring to Marc's mom because she only knows him as Marc.
Right. And also we had said even like Steven was referring to his mom, but like, is he really talking to his mom, or is he just talking to a recording? Or is he, you know what I mean? Because we said just the way his conversations on that phone was going, we heard at least 2 conversations. It just sounded like he was just talking to himself.
Mm-hmm. And then when Steve and Marc have their big confrontation towards the end of the episode, and they're working it all out, and Steven is realizing what it's like to be trapped on the other side for the first time. He's like, yo, this is horrible, and how long have you been doing this? And Marc responds, a long time.
And that's a question of, that's a question of empathy, to be honest, right? Like it's a curiosity question, like how could you do it? But it's also empathy, like I cannot believe you've been doing this, because as you say, Steven, he says it's dark, it's cramped, he can't breathe, it's suffocating, and it's just like, it's like, wow, you've been in this, and this is what it is when you're not in control. Like this is what it feels like. So it's like, as you say, how long have you been doing this? Like how. And that's the question that happens upon a lot of people who go through mental health issues. Just like, how long have you been dealing with this without help most of the time, right? How long have you been suffering through this and seemingly suffering alone?
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about my own issues there, but there, like I said here, what's bugging me and what's interesting me more about the situation is, how long has this been going on, right? Because Marc has had this life where he's been married to Layla, where he has had a relationship, where he's been out doing missions for Khonshu. Everything has been going on. So is this something that goes back to childhood with Steven? Because it seems also that Steven, like in this episode, it seems that Steven is the dominant personality. Like he's been around longer than Marc. But is that really the case? Have they both been around the same amount of time? Has it just been Marc being able to operate? Like he said, there's always been a wall between us, but now that wall is being broken down. So is it just that Marc has been able to operate without Steven realizing it? But Steven eventually did realize it. As we see, that's why he lives the way he lives. And why he knows that he has issues. Like he knows he has some type of sleeping issue.
Marc is out here on the town doing all sorts of shit. And like as evidence in that very first episode, like, was it Marc that asked the coworker out on a date? Or was that somebody else? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, for those who read the comics and know the history of Moon Knight, we know that there's more than just Stephen Grant and Mark Spector in this. There's, multiple personalities.
How many authors are we talking about in the comic books?
It depends. There's been various versions of Moon Knight through the years. I know at one point when I was reading him, he was dealing with Stephen Grant, Mark Spector, a little girl. I can't remember her name. Like a young, maybe 10, 12-year-old girl. And I think even Khonshu was talking to him, and maybe, Jake Lockley. There's the other one, Jake, who's the cab driver.
So 5 authors, at least in one story, is at least 5. Wow.
At least 5, yeah. Yep. That I know of. And I'm sure there's others that I haven't read about. And then there's the Mr. Knight persona, which is another persona which we see in this episode, but isn't really in the comics, is portrayed a bit differently. So there's a lot going on. But in the MCU, it's we know there's at least these 2, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be introduced to more before the series is over. Multiples, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also another theme that this episode patterns itself after is the idea of loss and hurt, but under the guise of protecting others, like losing something in order to protect others, or going through pain in order to protect someone else. Like, I mean, on a very basic level, like Steven losing his job, right? That's the museum. They're trying to protect themselves, obviously, right? When they go show that video back in security, it looked like Steven is fighting his damn self by his lonesome. And it also shows, I mean, it was kind of also obvious, but it also shows that the monsters, no one else can see them but Steven, right? And it just lends further to the credence and the improper use of when people say, oh, people are crazy, like how, they're just seeing things. It's like, okay, but like something's physically holding him up. Something's physically choking him. Something's physically breaking things. But all they see is Steven wilding out. So they're like, oh, nah, this man gotta go, right?
But see, remember, in these scenes, nothing physically holds him up. It's not that ill, where it's like, we don't see him getting lifted off the ground. And then he runs in the bathroom where all the wild shit happens.
Right.
But there ain't no cameras in the bathroom.
The cameras aren't showing, like you said, they just see the corny parts, like Steven crying, Steven just making a mess, and then he walking out staring at when it's really Marc looking at the camera, right? That's why, even just the way, and that's what I'm saying, Oscar Isaac's a fucking G. Just the way he was looking at the camera, like, yeah, he was dressed like Steven, but you could tell right away. Like, even before Steven said it, I said, that's not Steven.
Man, like,
that's not him.
Oscar's doing his thing, but like, Tatiana Maslany from Orphan Black.
Oh, from Orphan Black.
That, like, I can't wait to see her as She-Hulk, because that woman is something else. Like, when it comes to portraying different personalities, and it got so confusing for me. I'd watch that show for seasons, and I would constantly forget that it was her, like in the scene with herself. I would constantly forget it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. She's playing both of these women.
That's when you in your bag, when you're an actor.
In Act 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about Steven losing his job and how everything went down at the museum. That was one of my first things, and it's also a question about this show. It's like, when is this taking place in the MCU? Because when he's talking to his mate the security guard, he says, yo, it's like some Area 51-ish times 10, right?
Right. You're like, why would they say Area 51 if all wild shit has happened in the MCU?
There we go.
Well and beyond Area 51. Like, no one would say that. They would be like, that's some Attack on New York shit, right?
There we go. Or some red dot appearing in space over London that just happened, in the Eternals. But does this happen before or after? Or, once again, are we getting back to that narrator who we can't trust? And how much of this stuff is happening as we see it? Or
is this a different timeline?
I mean, it has
not been... Is this a different universe? Is this a different multiverse, right?
It has not been answered yet. Oscar Isaac is only contractually obligated to do this series. We don't know.
I mean, that's the big joker for Marvel, right? They can do any fucking show, story, character, and either rescind it, retcon it, or anything. And the skeleton key is, it was just in a different universe, and there they come, right? Like,
and that's so.
I really hope they don't do this to me. It cheapens it.
Nah.
Like, And they haven't done it yet, and I don't think they will, because like I said, Fahey and the rest, they're just too smart for that. But I've already seen it. A studio that should not be named. I've already seen it done to horrible, horrible effect. And I really hope they don't use that as like a backdoor to come up with some horrible ideas.
Well,
Morbius.
And the sad part about that is that DC, is like the king of the multiverse. Like that was their idea first, and they just haven't been able to capitalize on Marvel has. Yep.
Gotta have a plan.
Speaking of losses.
Speaking of, and this is also funny and really sad. During that interaction when Steven is fired, unceremoniously fired, they say, "Oh, do you have anything on you that belongs to the museum?" He's like, "Nah, I didn't steal nothing, whatever." They take man's badge, right? And that's showing a couple different things. Yes, it's literally them taking his badge away, which is, to me, is fucked up. It's like, damn, you can let him keep the name tag that y'all got 50 versions of. Steven's a mad common name, right? But it's also a deliberate literary device to show that you're taking himself away from him, right? You're taking his agency away. He's losing himself.
Yep. And a very great visual device, for screenwriters out there. Everything should be told visually. You don't have to, show, don't tell.
Right.
And
that's
the
the very beginning of him losing himself, because then as the episode goes on, Marc starts coming out, trying to, screaming about "give me the body," trying to take over, yada yada, till the very end of the episode where Marc is in full control and it's like, "Nah, bro, you in the sunken place now." Yep. And it also represents the loss, at least, of Steven's primary dream. Like she just wanted to be a fucking tour guide, right? He just wanted to be that guy because he knows so much about Egypt and he dedicates his life to it. And you see the joy and passion in his eyes when he's showing the kid around. And for someone to be like, "Yeah, ayo, you'll like," it's one thing. I mean, he already said it was hurtful when the boss lady said that shit about, "Oh, you'll never be a tour guide," but to really like that last piece be taken from you, sad.
Yeah. And, another great piece of writing there, because once again, you had to take everything that a hero wants away from him so they can realize what their true destiny is.
Oh, I think the first loss was Gus, right? Because he was like, "That's not my Gus. He's missing this. My Gus was missing a fin."
Yes.
So he's already been losing.
And for everyone who listened, and thank you to everyone who tweeted me images of this fish, Gus.
He only had one fin.
He only had one fin. All right, I get it.
You saw?
I saw. All right, we're good. Moving on.
Right. Harrow also talks about his losses, or he touches upon them. He explains that he used to be Khonshu's avatar. So he used to basically be Marc, right? He used to be the one who Khonshu spoke through and action through and all that stuff. And it seemed to me he has a chip on his shoulder, like there's some bad blood there. Because how do you go? I mean, one, I don't know the mechanics behind how you go from Khonshu's avatar to Amit's avatar. Like, was there a fight? Was there a Maury episode happening, and then he just chose him? Like, I don't know how that.
Amit, you are the father.
Right. I don't know.
Khonshu, you are not the father. Khonshu running back to the back.
Like, I mechanically, I don't know how that works. But like I said,
spent all that time raising this man.
He used to be. So, and as we see with Marc, it doesn't seem like it's easy to stop being Khonshu's avatar, right? Like, Khonshu's basically gonna hold you to it until he feels like he don't want you.
He lost the good one. He ain't losing another one.
Right. So I'm like, so I'm curious now, how did Harrow get, like, did he trick Khonshu? Did Khonshu actually, because Khonshu don't seem like the type to keep his word, right? And that's why that's the one thing I do believe from Harrow. Like, Khonshu will do whatever he wants. Because the wild way he be talking to, Khonshu be talking to Steven, the wild way he be talking to Marc, especially, and Marc is his avatar. I'm like, this nigga don't give no fucks. None. And so I think Harrow's telling the dead ass truth when he's just like, yo, he just be saying all this whoop-de-whoop. And he can't trust mans. It's giving that energy to me. What about you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like, once again, going back to the comics, Khonshu is unreliable. You want to talk about an unreliable narrator, you can talk about unreliable in every sense of the word. Khonshu is not about what he says he's about. He's a god in his way, and he's literally a god. So it's like his ways are unknowable to us, pretty much. Yeah. So he lives, on a time scale that we can't imagine, and thus our little, gripes and issues don't really matter to him. I mean, you got to realize, we live until 80, 90, 100 max, right? 120 something, max. This man's at this point, as long as humanity, you have to say, if he doesn't predate humanity, depending.
Once again, and I said this on episode 1, I'll say this here. He reminds me of Ryuk from Death Note, because if you read the anime, I mean, not read the anime, watch the anime or even read the manga, like that's the same tone and energy. It's like, this guy is essentially my avatar. He's doing at the end of the day, Light is really doing his Ryuk's bidding. Light swears up and down, he has the power, he has the agency and all this other stuff. But really it's Ryuk that has influenced all of this. And then when he's done with this so-called avatar, he's like, all right, well, moving on. Because, I live all the years I live and y'all are just minuscule beings.
I think Khonshu might have just been done with Harrow.
You think he was just like,
yeah, and I think that's why Harrow's so bitter, because he used them all those years, made him do all this work, put in all that work, and then he's like, all right, I'm good. On to the next. On to the next one. On to the next one.
Yikes! All right, but yeah, towards that, even though I believe
he's like, we off that, all the Jay-Z references.
Could you imagine? Khonshu was just like, hey, yo, no, we off that. We on Marc Spector now. We on that Spector. Yo!
Got these Spector tops, that other stuff, garbage around the way, fam.
5 Spector tops. All right. We also have Layla, as that we heard her voice in the last episode. We're actually introduced to her in the flesh this time. We find out that Layla is Marc's wife, at least on paper, because as she basically ends up in Steven's apartment, she's like, all right, so we gonna do this or nah? What are you talking about, Layla? You gonna sign these papers that you sent to me, the divorce papers? So Layla losing her husband, Marc, and she's losing him in, again, just these multifaceted ways. She's losing him literally because she's just like, she's looking at him like, you're Marc, but he's like, nah, bro, I'm Steven. He has this weird accent. She's like, what are you getting on? What is this game you're playing? And he's like, I'm telling you, I'm not who you think I am. And that's a hard pill to swallow, right? Like she said, she'd been trying to reach him for months. And you saw, as evidenced by, it looked like millions of calls and texts. It's just like, for someone who is your husband, regardless of what y'all going through, that was still your partner at one point. And to think that you've been trying to contact them over and over and over again, and to the point where you probably think they're dead. And then one day they just pop up, but it's not really them. It's other guy. And it's just like, it's like, how do you, like, and I start feeling bad for later, because like, damn, the shit you gotta fucking deal with. That, like, I know, like, there's, even if, you don't want to be with him just in that way no more, like, I know there's still emotion there because there's no closure, right? Like, as far as I know, man sent the divorce papers to her and then disappeared for 10 months or whatever. And then found him after she probably thought he died or got killed. And then look at this shit.
I mean, that begs the question right there, right? Like, how long, again, has this man been operating? Because how do you have a whole ass marriage, whole ass divorce about to happen, and during the night hours when dude's supposed to be sleeping? That just seems like how much of, Steven has been living bad, folks. Because Marc is out here. Marc is out here living. You know what I mean? Marc out here, got Layla, possibly hollering at the tour operator. We don't.
It seems like he's living, but then even like towards the end, like you see that Marc is caught up. Marc is big time caught up. Like, even though, and then this is not justifying anything he's doing or his motivations. It's just, let's be like realistic. Like, Khonshu threatened him and was like, well, I mean, you don't want to be my avatar, little miss over here looking ripe. And it's just like he's going to protect her at all costs, right? You see the bullshit that Marc got to go through, and he would never pass that. It seems like he would never pass that responsibility onto his worst enemy, let alone his or soon to be ex-wife. Like, it seems like when you are the avatar, you are, I mean, I don't know if it's all with all of the gods, but at least for Khonshu, you're bound. You are handcuffed to that nigga, and you don't. And there's lots of stuff that it's not like a consensual agreement. Like, maybe they came into a consensual agreement, but Khonshu keeps him there by threats. That's not, so things aren't even, it's not a party for Marc either.
Oh, no. I mean, I'm saying living, he's at least having, relations, because.
or if you think he is.
I mean, at some point he got married, right? He had to consummate it. You know, Steven got nothing going on, folks.
Well, yeah.
You know, he lived with sand around his bed.
And to end on this theme about Steven, just adding on to what else Steven, the cut from, what you say, what cloth he was cut from?
Weak cloth.
Cut from weak cloth.
Yeah. I mean, Steven looked like, what would he? He like a wet t-shirt with a web chest. You know, like just all bad. You know, no good. Like you just don't do that.
Steven.
You know.
Well, yeah. This last part of Lost, he loses his body. Like, remember I said that name tag came off, and that was just the beginning of all bad. Just the last the last bastion of who he is, his physical self, got taken by Marc, and Marc is refusing to give it back because he's like, "Nah, fam, it's better off with me in charge. You'll get used to the sunken place." Like, fuck.
Yeah, about that. And that leads into this last theme that I wanted to stress because it's mentioned implicitly right there is when Steven calls Marc a parasite. And I think that's a major theme of this episode, right? Is parasites and who is the parasite? Because there's a lot of parasites. It's just like in the movie Parasite, if you've seen it, great film, where there are several layers and several different people are acting as parasites to different layers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this episode, we see that Steven feels like Marc is the parasite. But Marc is living on his shoulder with this other parasite named Khonshu.
Mm-hmm.
And then over on the side, Harrow, got his own parasite, but he's missing the parasite. He wants to be a parasite. He wants to be in a parasitic relationship.
He I'm just laughing about, like, what is this Venom? Like, this is like he wants the symbiote, right?
Yes,
like,
yep.
Yeah.
He's missing his symbiote. So it's like, who is the parasite? And that, like, it's still the major question of the series is who is the real person in this body? If there even is a real person. Are they both real people?
And I was gonna say, is that even like disrespectful to each author, right? Like,
I don't think
to
so.
say someone is quote unquote real, like, they're all real, right?
They're
like,
all real.
Who is the primary, or who is the host, or who was the original? I guess I don't know. It reminds me of on Invincible, like the two clone brothers. Like, I'm the original. I'm the original. You're the copy. Like, it's just like, okay, who's in charge here?
Yeah, we both got to live with it. And that's the same. I mean, it's work. The clones at least each have their own body. They just got to live with not knowing who's the first. These guys got to live with a lot more. A lot more.
Yeah. All right. So those are the major themes of episode 2. Let's get into these characters a bit more. Obviously, we have Stephen Grant / Marc Spector / Moon Knight / Mr. Knight, which was so cool to see. As we know about Stephen, apparently, according to the HR director, HR person, he's been struggling a lot recently. And again, just back to what Ben Amin was saying, where how long has this been going on? This must have been lots of bullshit happening at least over the last few weeks, if not months.
And definitely getting worse.
Recently. Getting worse because it's enough to the point where, and again, as we say, the cameras don't show everything that happened. So they just think Stephen's out of his mind. They give him this pamphlet that says, providing the support you need to be the best you can be. The best you that you can be, whoever you are, I don't know. The director tells Stephen he's not alone, and to comedic effect, because Stephen's like, tell me about it. Of course I'm not alone. There's at least 3 niggas here together. As I said earlier about Stephen's name tag, getting that hurt him to his soul. Because, like, he took his time to be like, fuck, you taking this from me, bro?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And we also discovered Stephen, he seems to have a lot in common with Layla than allegedly Marc. Just simply because, like, just that interaction just seems like they was on the same vibe. Like when they were talking about the French poet and all this other stuff. And Stephen just seems to be impressed and a little bit smitten by Layla.
Yeah, I think they both have different things going on with Layla. Like Stephen is that innocent person who she wants to protect, maybe, while Marc is, the person who protects her. Or they protect each other, or they're both off on adventures, but they had a connection. They got married, so there was some type of connection there.
They both Tomb Raiders of some sort, because like you said, that like they got that scarab. She said, that's our adventures when we got the scarab together. You remember? I'm like, bitch, what are y'all doing? Like,
Well,
So
I mean,
they
it's
both
obvious that,
mercenary around the world.
We see in this episode that Layla is about that life. You know?
Yeah. We have Marc, as I mentioned before. They seem to be able to communicate to each other, Marc and Steven, through the reflections. So reflections, mirrors, glass have been already and are continue to be a big theme, a big portal or gateway for communication to allow you. And it's also really clever, right? It allows you to see two at once. You know, the ideas of mirrors and things like that. Steven finds Marc's passport in the number 43 storage unit. We see the full name is Marc Spector. It says he was born in Illinois, born March 9th, 1987, which makes him 35 and a Pisces.
But that passport might as well be, could be fake, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And that was another big moment. You want to talk about L's. Like, imagine, you walk into a storage unit and find this man has been living a whole life.
Because he had I think it was like a bunk bed or something up in there.
Yeah, he had the cot. He had the military cot. Yeah,
he got the pistol.
He got the pistola.
He got money, different currency monies up in there.
Different passports. He was ready to go.
Yeah.
He's living. He's been living the life out of here. And you had no clue about. Dude knows your face when you walk in. Like, imagine that. You walk into a spot and dude's like, oh yeah, I know you, fam.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
When Steven gets caught up by Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we learn that Marc was part of a mercenary group in Egypt involved in killing some archaeologists on a mission. So that's shady. That's suspect. What we learn about when Marc summons the suit is that traditional comic book kind of accurate Moon Knight look. Has a crescent-shaped weapons. He knows how to fight. He got skills. Whereas when Steven manifests the suit, we see that it's an all-white suit with kind of a Mr. Rogers sweater, a tie. Like it's like two parts. It's like 2 parts cool, 1 part kind of librarian.
Oh no, that joint fire. It's not a sweater. It's a vest. He got the vest.
A sweater vest. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's a sweater vest. It's a jacket, a sweater vest, a tie, his slacks, and then some shoes. Yeah. And then he has what makes it fire is he has kind of like this Deadpool-esque mask with the glowing eyes and then the crescent shape on his forehead.
Yeah.
So it's and the reason why, and when I say that, I'm not saying that as a downer. I'm saying that like it's a complete difference, or at least from the maybe separate from the mask, but it's generally a complete different vibe from Marc's version, right? Marc's is very I'm not even a superhero. I'm a mercenary. I got a cape. I'm this, I'm that. I'm brooding. I'm dark. And this man looked like he about to go do stand up somewhere. So,
well, to me, it's more the Mr. Knight. I think what they're supposed to represent, especially Warren Ellis, who created the look, and he's British, as well. It's that like British boxer on the street look, which is
when he rolls up his sleeves.
Yeah, you see he gets to roll up the sleeve. He got the gloves on. It's like that's that classic, street urchin. Tough guy. And then also Mr. Knight in the comics is representing that detective looking dude who rolls up and works with the police and stuff. He's like the street level version of Moon Knight instead of Moon Knight who is out, battling demons and stuff. This guy is over there, talking to police, working. So he's got the,
Right.
Yeah.
And just further towards how different they are, like Moon Knight, the Moon Knight Prime, I guess you want to call him. He obviously knows how to fight. He got the skills. He has the experience. But Steven, who was a entirely different person, he has a super strength, so he learns, but he's clumsy, right? He doesn't have the fighting skills. He's just kind of just brute strengthening it right now because he doesn't really know what else to do. He's just flying by the seat of his pants at this point.
Yep. And he has all the weapons because as we see, he pulls out the batons, everything. It's just he doesn't know how to use any of this stuff yet. Yeah. And so that's why he's not, pulling off because all that stuff is not just from the suit. We see the suit itself.
Yes.
It's just materialized, psycho energy. So
yes,
all the weapons are as well. Like he's just pulling these things out of nowhere, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything extra you want to mention about Steven or Marc or how Moon Knight suit manifests on them?
I do want to talk about that fight because I thought the fight was super well choreographed when he's battling the Jackal and you can't see the Jackal and Layla and him are both getting hammered. And also when he gets thrown into the bus has a sign on the side of it. I want to say it's actually the same place that they recommend him going to in the
steakhouse?
No, not the steakhouse. The
Well, that's what they
therapist.
said. That y'all was going for steak.
No, the therapist. And he gets smashed into the bus, and the bus says, reconnect with your better half on it.
Oh, half jokes.
Yeah, and then that's when he takes the moment to let Marc take over, and then Marc switches to the Moon Knight suit and goes ham on, everything.
Gotcha.
So I really liked it. Like I said, it's different how they portrayed Mr. Knight, and I really love Mr. Knight in the comics, just how it was first introduced and everything. But it's basically the same thing. It's just like now we're having Mr. Knight be a different person of Mark Spector than it being Marc always in control when he's being Moon Knight.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Khonshu. Again, voiced played by F. Murray Abraham. The one time the voice matches the face. Once again, I just keep a running track of all the names that he calls everybody. So he calls Steven, you fool. And this time, like I said, he just talking out the side of his neck to everybody. He calls Marc ungrateful.
He says Marc was nothing more than a corpse when I found you.
Which is not a lie, but damn, did you have to say it like that?
I mean, facts, fam. You ain't got to. And then how he threatens this man when he's like, if you don't want to do it, I'll go get your gal. You know what I mean? Mr. Steal your girl over here.
Yeah. An interesting thing that Harrow makes fun of it, but Khonshu is very, he's very extra, right? He's dramatic. The dramatics is all day with Khonshu. And he says he only punishes those after they have done harm. I'm real justice. Whereas we learn when Harrow explains how Amit works is, he says, well, Amit's like, well, if I see you gonna do something wrong later in the future, if the propensity for that shit that go down, you're getting cold.
And to Amit, it's not the propensity. It is you are going to do this. I guess
in the future. But that's also could be a lie. It's just like, well, I don't really fuck with your bloodline, so I'm just going to say in 30 years you're going to do that. And also, even if it's 100% true, like, yes, I see in the like it's some precog Minority Report shit. Like, yes, in 2053, you're going to rob this bank and kill 10 people. Like, heard. However, to Steven's point that he brings up, that's what I had said in episode 1. What if it's a child? Mm-hmm. So y'all just murked the kid and no one said nothing and and that means they didn't deny it. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna murk it, And even Harrow's like, he's just like, yeah, well, that's just how shit goes. And it's just like, so that's what y'all niggas believe in. Like and to me, like that's also a lot of times the difference between, I don't want to say good and evil, but like righteous and non-righteous. Like when there's no gray area, it's purely black and white. Like to me, with Amit, it's just black and white. There's like, you're telling me there's no gray area. Like where's the morality in that?
I don't know, but we still haven't heard Amit's side. We've only heard Harrow's side.
But I understand as being the Avatar, he also speaks for Amit. So do you think it's like he's just dragging it? Like like Harrow's taking Amit's will too far? Because to me, Amit just keeps helping him.
This is true, but maybe Amit, who knows what Amit is really about yet, and Harrow seems to be about that murder life. Because at the end of this episode, when he murders that bum, there was no like, oh, you gonna do something bad. It was just like, nah, B, you had to stare, but I gotta murder you. There was none of that. It was just like, nope, let me finish you up, bro.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's
no witnesses.
Even if like, I don't 100% think it's true about like, not to say that Amit cannot see your future, but it's just like, it seems like it's a pick and choose situation.
Yeah, right.
Like,
what if Amit can't?
I don't fuck with you today. Yeah. The table, the scales go down, like you're dead. Like,
Yeah, what if Amit's just a dick? You know what I mean?
Amit could be just a dick. You're right.
Khonshu's a dick. Like that, it does not preclude.
I feel like all these guys at this point are acting like dicks. So, and that's what they tend to show. Like, especially like if you but if you study like Greek and Roman mythology, all these gods are dicks, especially Zeus. Especially Zeus.
Oh, Zeus a madman, but Odin up there too.
They're the same nigga, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's like, their stories are similar. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's finally super grimy. Finally with Khonshu, again, he keeps Marc as a perpetual prisoner. He's threatening to choose Layla as his next avatar. Basically, if Marc walks, he's gonna make him pay for that. Because, and again, I don't know the mechanics through which people get chosen as the avatars, or if they even have free will or what.
Yeah. Wait, do the people have free will?
So when he said, well, I'm just going to choose Layla, like, doesn't Layla have an acceptance?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
That's what I mean by free will.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Because I think
you know, a vampire, you gotta invite them in. Does
Yeah.
this he just get to go into your soul and take you over like that?
No, what I think it is like as in what happened with Marc is Khonshu's gonna make it where make you an offer you can't refuse. Because as we see when you were near a corpse. Now, did Khonshu make it where you were near a corpse? I wouldn't doubt it. You know what I mean? Like, or does Khonshu just look for people? Like, once again, it ain't hard to, for people to buy it, if you got time. So, or be put in a position. What if Khonshu goes to Layla and like, look, I'll kill Marc if you don't get down with this.
He'll say anything to make a person
and she
be
don't
like,
know,
oh,
and
shit.
And she don't know if he can or not, because as we see, he has limitations to his power.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Marc is going to get himself in a situation where he could get killed anyway. So
Right. And maybe he can't, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's limitations to his power, but he could probably still indirectly kill you by, like, knocking down a tree on your car or some shit while you drive, doing some wild shit.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, most definitely. Khonshu can get you touched.
You get touched by Khonshu, okay?
Yeah, these hands are Khonshu, baby. They reach far.
We learn more about Layla, played by Meg Calloway. Layla is Marc's wife. She brought the divorce papers for him. As I mentioned, I just really feel horrible for her because she's going through an emotional roller coaster. And that shit is not fair to her whatsoever.
And she even brings up that Marc has a bunch of aliases. She thinks that's what he's doing with Steven at first.
Because she was like, oh, I thought you were speaking in code. So she's used to him running from the law or running from enemies in some respects. So she thought he was still just playing, and then, he ain't playing.
No.
She clearly knows about the Moon Knight suit because she's just like, hey, yo, I knew you got your suit. I knew you'd be safe. And at least his agreement with Khonshu, right? So it's not like that part of Marc's life isn't a secret to her. At least certain aspects of it. Maybe she doesn't know the full extent of the plan of Khonshu's plan, but she at least knows that part of Marc.
Oh, she definitely knows a lot. I think we're going to see more of that as the series goes on, but she definitely knows a lot. And, it's revealed right here that she knows about the powers, which, lets you know there's gods in the world. That alone, that's pretty big information for anyone to know.
That's huge information, yeah.
And that is something, going back to Marc, because I know we haven't got to the end of this series, but it is bothersome to me so far. I mean, I guess it just hasn't been the right occasion, but the fact that Marc Spector is supposed to be Jewish. Yeah, I'm getting too excited. Marc Spector is supposed to be Jewish, and there's gods in this world, and we haven't seen that reaction yet. To the fact that there's all these gods in this world, and we have a character who believes in their own God. So, that's something hopefully this series addresses.
Yeah, we'll see it, hopefully.
Yep.
And Layla, to me, like, another reason why I just felt like there was some, at least from Steven's perspective, why he was drawn to her, because to me, she brings stability to Steven's wayward personality. Like, forget all the issues he's going through with Marc and the Khonshu and all that. Just Steven himself, he's out of it, right? And he needs some direction and a stabilizer. And it seems like at least those few minutes being with Layla, or even on the bike, right? When he was like, where am I supposed to put my hands? And he just hold her, and he seems to immediately calm down. And you see that a lot, right? Especially like you need that anchor point to kind of bring you back down to reality or center you. And it seems like Layla is serving that for Steven.
Mm-hmm. No, Layla's great. I really like the actress. This is like one of her first roles, so she's doing a good job so far.
Yeah, she's doing a great job then.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was one of her first. Okay.
Yeah, she was talking about it in an interview. She was like, I'm very new to this world, and she was very happy about how all the men on the set treated her and et cetera.
Good.
So, yeah.
Good.
Yep.
And considering Layla knows a lot and then been through a lot, and who knows all the secrets she got going, she after a while realizes Steven is telling the truth. And, I mean, you see the differences, as I mentioned, just in their personality and they swag and everything they do. And it's so bad, like, Steven's such a gump, because it's just like, Steven, like, you could really, like, turn it up. Like, you're cultured. You could speak French. I assume he knows how to speak French, or at least a few words, right? Like, you seem more worldly and know shit, right? You could use that to your advantage, but nah.
It's not that Steven's a gump, though. That's what we got to realize, right? Steven has just been living this hard life where things...
The whole time?
It's been going on for a good minute. At the first time we see him, this is not new. You don't have sand around your bed if this is like a first time or even a second or third time thing. That's something you do when you're like, yo, I've been going out every night. You know, what is going on with my life? Yeah, like the way he was living. And he tells him, I can't have a date. I can't do this. I can't do that. This ain't something new. You know, he's like, yo, you've been doing this my whole life. He just realizing now what's happening. But this is something that he's been dealing with for a long time.
Well, yeah, but I'm not just referring to what he's dealing with. Just him, his personality, just Steven.
But that personality
himself.
develops because of how his life has been. That's what I mean. If his life was normal, he'd be Marc, and that's what he's saying.
You
know,
think,
he's like,
I don't think he'd be, if Steven,
not Marc, he's not gonna be Marc, but he wouldn't be so maladjusted.
You think so?
Hell, look, this man, he can't.
I mean,
this man's life is tough.
You could be right. Like, yes, there's things that affect him, but I also just think that's his personality. Like, that's the like he likes Egyptology. He likes the shit he likes. That's him.
Yeah, no, that type of stuff. But that's not a gump. That's just a dude who likes Egyptology. He would be the top tour guide. He'd be the man. You know, he'd be running the museum.
Well, maybe we're using the term differently because I don't know what you mean when you say it. I just mean just like
no, but he would be in a position. He would be dating that shorty. He'd be running the museum. So? Yes, because he's smart, he's capable, he's all these things. But like this is the difference, right? Marc has it where Marc is like, when I go to sleep, Steven's gonna wake up, and then later on I'm gonna get control. Steven has it where I go to sleep. What the is my life? You know, that's the thing. It's not the same. Like Marc at least knows what's going on at this point. Steven doesn't know what's going on with his life. So imagine that's your whole life. Imagine you grow up, you go to sleep, sometimes you wake up somewhere else. Sometimes you wake up here. Sometimes you wake up, like, what's that going to do to your personality?
Right. But again, I don't know if that was his whole life. Like, I know you're saying he's been dealing for a long time, but that doesn't necessarily mean whole life.
I think it's been going on for a lot longer than...
If it was whole life, it would better explain the DID. Because, again, we learned that through the research, like, we learned that it typically manifests based on something happening in childhood.
I think it's something from childhood with him. Yeah, this has been going a very long time. I mean, let's say he is 35, at least 20, right? At least since he was 20. Maybe I'll give him 20 years, 15.
Maybe.
Yeah, because this man's been living a life. He got married. Yeah. He was a mercenary.
Yeah.
Like he was out doing things.
And then something happened. You got Arthur Harrow, played by Ethan Hawke. Are you believing him you believing in him more now, Ben? I mean, you wasn't believing in him the first episode.
I'm still not feeling this man. And it's like, I think it is just his crew is like peacemakers. I mean, not peacemakers,
Flag Smashers.
Flag Smashers times two. Like, I was unimpressed with his whole, like, oh, we speak Mandarin and blah, blah, blah. We're raising
I was like, all right, y'all are
whatever, B.
Y'all are cults.
Yeah, it's like, I've seen this before with, the Flag Smashers. I know how y'all get down. And you're already showing me how you get down. At least the Flag Smashers waited to blow up a hospital. You murdered a dude in the second episode. Yeah,
Hail Hydra and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, y'all already just trife. So
y'all
no.
Off-brand Hydra, right? So
they're off-brand. Hydra, Flash. I keep saying, there's a union of goons in the MCU, and people like
and you just go to different wings.
Yeah, you take multiple jobs. Like sometimes you got to be a goon for this squad. Sometimes you got to be a goon for that squad. The Hydra went down. Now you got to switch it up. You got to go over here. Flash Master went down. They got blown up. All right, we going over here.
What it means to belong, right?
Yeah, man, you just try to work, like union job, you gotta go to work every day. Goon.
Goon.
So, who knows where you're gonna be today, but goon,
We do see that Arthur Harrow, he actually accepts more readily that Steven is telling the truth of being not Marc Spector. And also being separate because he knows that life, right? He expresses that he actually used to be Khonshu's avatar. So he is able to see that more readily, right? Like where everybody else is just like, oh, Steven, you're crazy, right? It's just like, no, like he's been through that, right? And that just goes back to like when people say, oh, like you're seeing things and I don't believe in all that. It's because you don't have that personal experience or you don't have that education. And here comes someone who does. It's like, oh no, that's for real. Like, he does have DID, or he does have an Egyptian god, making him do things and all this other stuff. So, we also find out that scarab is important because it's actually a compass to Amit's tomb, and the Harrow wants to get to Amit's tomb, presumably to dig up Amit and do some shit with Amit. I don't know what's about to happen, but I don't know what the plan is there.
Look, it don't really matter.
It just seems like it's all bad. Like,
yeah.
Haven't
Whatever.
we learned from the Mummy that when you start digging up niggas, is all bad?
All bad.
I don't know.
And yeah, I'm not anything Harrow does. It's his hair, man. I think I just cannot deal with that man's hair.
Is it too stringy for?
Yo, it's like, bruh, come on, man. You got all these people up
It's
in
not
this
enough
joint.
body for you. It's not White Wolf enough for you.
Nah, man, he ain't
Pantene Pro V
you
for
know. No Bucky with the bundle over here, baby.
Nope.
Because like all these people up in here and he can't get his hair done. He got that whole crew sitting in there. All them goons.
The man walks on glass.
Facts,
I think that's the least of his concerns.
Yeah, he got other
his
problems.
His hair is not part of it.
I mean, you look good, you play good. You know what I mean? Look.
Whatever.
Marc knows what it's about. Marc be walking around with that glow.
Marc has got swag.
That murder glow. I mean, yeah, that murderer glow. But it's a glow.
Harrow also says that the other Egyptian gods, don't respect Khonshu, and he could just be saying that to say that, but it could be also true that they just really, because Khonshu just gives me outsider vibes, like outcast vibes,
Mm-hmm.
like. Talk about like he does not have drip. Like he looks scary as hell, and I understand that's just his manifestation. But like he's wearing what looks like rags. It's like you're supposed to be a god. You could come out looking any old type of way, and this is what you choose. Like and I'm not talking about the skull part. Like that's just his manifestation, his Egyptian manifestation. I'm talking about like his drip, bro. He ain't got none.
Well, in the comics, there's a version of him where he has the skull part and the drip.
Okay,
like,
see, I'm just like, you're a god. Like you can appear as anything, and that's what you choose.
Yeah, no, he's suited and booted in certain parts, so hopefully they show that version.
All right. We end up seeing. Well, I don't have the actors' names here, but DC Fitzgerald and DC Kennedy. They are the ones that bust up in Steven's apartment in his flat. Since we're in the UK, they are agents of Amit, and they actually work for Harrow. I just realized that like when I was typing their names out, I was like Fitzgerald and Kennedy. I'm like, oh, JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Don't know if that was on purpose or it's just
pretty
coincidence.
Sure. Yeah.
But
I didn't know his middle name was Fitzgerald. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of Views from the 616. You learn things. So
learn something new every day, folks.
And the followers of agents of Amit or whatever they're called, they have some tattoo on them to designate that they're part of the same cult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We learned already about Amit last time. Again, this is essentially the devourer of the dead, the eater of hearts, the great death. Amit is a funeral deity, and because of what Amit represents, Amit is not really honored, and like I guess they're not prayed to like all the other gods. Like you don't pray to Amit like you want Amit in your life.
Mm-mm.
Like, nah, that's all about death and the end and all that stuff. The true death. And I don't want that.
And knowing about Amit, from Egyptology, I can say that maybe Harrow is actually representing their wishes because Amit's judgment is harsh.
Yeah.
If your heart don't weigh less than the feather, you out of here.
You
so that's like
second thought. And that's
like 99.9% of people.
Harrow's definitely, because just even the ideology, like what I said before, black and white, it's just like, nope, you're out of here, as you say. So I'm like, no, he's absolutely doing Amit's bidding.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Now, whether this goes Harrow's way at the end is another story, because as I see with these gods, they trifling and they do whatever they need to do to get what they want. But still. Yep. One thing we didn't mention that was actually revealed in between episode 1 and 2, that gold statue, that living statue that we see Steven always talking to in the park, that's Sean Scott, and it's been confirmed that he's playing a character called Crawley. I don't know much about Crawley, but maybe you have some information on that, Ben.
Just a little bit. He's one of Moon Knight's homies. He actually works with Jake Lockley. And for those who've seen our YouTube video, I confused Jake Lockley with Jake Sully from Avatar. That was great. It happens. But yeah, he works with Jake Lockley. Jake Lockley is the cab driver version of Stephen Grant Mark Knight, the alter or whatever. And Jake is a friend of Crawley. And Crawley goes through hard times, but that it's just like being a friend with Daredevil. Like in the comics, if you're a friend with Daredevil or Moon Knight, it's tight.
Yeah,
Like if you're
gonna get clapped.
yeah, or not even clapped. You're gonna get on drugs. You're gonna get sexually abused. It's like you're gonna have just horrible things happen to you. Not just clapped. Like if you're a friend of Spider-Man, you're gonna turn into a supervillain or a superhero. But if you're a friend of Daredevil or Moon Knight, I feel for you. I mean, you'll probably get clapped as Spider-Man, but it's like you're not gonna go through the thing. It's like, yo, Karen Page is there in the comics, fam. You don't even want to know the story. It's like it's good. It's good they ended the Daredevil series. That's all I can say. Like people keep talking about bring it back now, fam. Because if they do, there's not many places they can go for Karen. What's his homie, the lawyer? It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Moon Knight, same. Crawley, bad things. So yeah. Hopefully this is the last we see of Crawley. Let's keep it the Gold Living Statue version.
Well, good luck to that. Because like you said, it's not sounding good. It's looking all bad, but we're about to find out.
All his friends, dog.
I wonder
it's
if Crawley,
bad.
I wonder if Crawley's going to actually speak at some point.
Man, there's this one version of Moon Knight I was reading where this man's like having hallucinations. He don't know what's real anymore. And all his friends are like trapped in his mind with him. It's bad.
Oof. Oh,
yeah.
Hell nah.
Yeah.
Hell nah.
Yeah. And he is seeing all kind of hellish things. So,
no.
Yeah. No, it's bad. Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap up this review with our Easter eggs, inspiration, and music list. The first Easter egg in this, when Steven goes to that storage space where he finds Unit 43, when the camera pans over, you see that there's a QR code that appears on screen. You can actually pause there and scan that QR code with your phone. Doing that in real life takes you to Marvel.com link where you can actually read a free Moon Knight comic book, the same comic book that inspired this series, and it's actually the title Werewolf by Night. And also, if you scroll down after it says on that page, on that website, it says you can also check back weekly at that same link to get more Moon Knight comic books for free. Now, I know technically, like it's so funny because QR codes can take you to some malicious places. But of course, the first thing I did, I saw that QR code on the screen, and I immediately grabbed my phone, was like, let's scan it.
I did it.
Ladies and gentlemen, be careful. Yeah. Like, just because you see a QR code in the sky, like South by Southwest or anywhere else, don't just scan any old thing because it could be malicious. That said, I fucking did it for science purposes, and this is what I got.
That's very dope, though, because they're definitely, like, I keep saying this. It's so funny how Werewolf by Night having this Halloween special is, like, the best not kept secret. Because they have not officially announced it, but they've done everything but, like, I know they hired a director, I think. All these different things. Wow. Yeah, it's all this stuff going on. And as far as I know, I still have yet to see an official announcement, but it seems like it's coming.
So you see, like, it seems like they might be working on a Halloween special for Moon Knight based on the actual book?
No, but this is some more rumors and everything. Like the latest word on the street now is that the Halloween special will be called something like either the Midnight Suns or the Sons of Vengeance. I doubt they want to use something with Sons in the title because they'll want to have everybody involved. But basically, so they can do various specials like this where it features different characters. And so the first one will allegedly feature Werewolf by Night. But then, future ones to feature. And there's rumors that Blade is going to appear in this Halloween special. And then it would revolve around the Midnight Suns, who at times have featured Ghost Rider, Blade, Werewolf by Night. I want to say Morbius. And various other, dark horror themed characters of Marvel.
Okay.
So, Marvel's getting that bag every which way possible.
I don't want to see Morbius. I already did. I'm good.
I mean, but if MCU does it, I'd see. Right, I don't want to see. Right. Yeah. But I do want to see Werewolf by Night.
That's one time I'm okay with them just using the multiverse to erase shit. So.
Yeah. I love me some werewolves and vampires. So
all right.
I'm down for it.
All right, and then the last item is the music. In the end credits, we hear the song El Malouk by Ahmad Saeed, featuring, I don't know how to pronounce because it's like the number 3.
Threemba, I'm going with.
Threemba or Bemba because it's supposed to look like the letter B.
Maybe,
And Double Zooks. So apologies, very big apologies if we mispronounced those names.
Yeah.
Are these Egyptian artists?
Yes, they are. And okay. El Malouk is a song about it's basically bid talk rap song in Arabic, you know, like they are talking bid talk about how when they come through, everybody gets ghost, you know, run your town, everything. At one point, my man said something about putting poison in bottles, like, you know, they about that life basically, and so it's just signifying, you know, Marc waking up with I love that shot. That is like the classic like Indiana Jones mummy shot, you know, the hero drunk after a hard night, you know, or in some foreign city, waking up, throwing open the shades, and, you know, Egypt, you know.
Yeah, it was very
Brazil.
Very dramatic. Yeah. Very The Hangover, all that stuff.
Yes. So. Oh, God. Even The Hangover did it, right? Damn.
Yeah.
That shot's been done to death.
Vegas.
Yeah. Brazil.
New place. Yeah. And he was drinking. And he was drinking straight from the bottle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he woke up with the bottle in hand.
He was chilling. Who knows how long this man been up drinking?
Yeah, facts. Probably not even woke
sipping
up.
Sipping and then, you know, did the shot. So
yeah, it was beautiful though.
So that is the end of our review of episode 2 of Moon Knight. Thank you all so much for joining us. I know you had a blast because you're still here, you're still listening, and you may have your own comments. Please let us know. There's a few ways you can get in touch with us and a few ways you can follow and support us. Listen up. Follow us on the socials, on Twitter, @ForAllNerds, as well as @ViewsFrom616. You can follow me @Tatiana King, and this guy over here with the shades @DJ Benhameen. Look at that smile. He is enthused. Please also support us through our Patreon, patreon.com/ForAllNerds. We are an independently funded and run media brand, meaning we do everything on our own, from our pockets, from the ground up, 10 toes down. And because of people like you, this is like PBS, due to viewers like you, because of viewers like you are what keeps us running. So all of your patronage really means a lot. It's how we pay our staff. It's how we do cool things here at For All Nerds. So again, patreon.com/ForAllNerds. Every tier is special. All the tiers get special privileges. You get free stuff all the time. You get special privileges with our TeePublic page, as long as some other secret stuff that we can't share with anybody unless you're a patron. Speaking of merch, go to teepublic.com/stores/ForAllNerds. Benami has the beautiful turquoise For All Nerds branded mug. I'm wearing the Mohawk Storm on a motorbike. Shout out to Sketch Sawyer who did this exclusive, and I'm not just saying that as to be funny, like dead ass exclusive design that you can only find on our TeePublic, teepublic.com/stores/ForAllNerds. But I mean, has a super special shirt that you can never get ever again in life. And this happens, y'all, sometimes. Sometimes we come up with, I guess the designs are too wild, or it's just too over the top and it gets pulled. So whenever we announce new designs and you like it, you think it's fire, you're not sure to pull the trigger, pull that trigger, because it's a chance it may not be there, you know? And sometimes these are limited exclusives, so it's only there for a limited time. So make sure you hit that up. And as always, make sure you're following us. Follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/ForAllNerds. Please remember, if you have Amazon Prime, you also get a free monthly Twitch subscription. That means you just have to link your Amazon Prime subscription or account to your Twitch, and you can actually pick any channel of your choice to have it for free for that month. That means you get special emotes and follower privileges. Please, we hope that you make For All Nerds your subscription each month, and follow us on every podcast platform imaginable. SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, everywhere. We out here. Please also rate us. It matters. We are rated already 5 stars many, many times over on Spotify. We still need those ratings. Keep boosting us up. This is how we get the visibility. We want to be on the billboards in Times Square too. Put us up there, please. And am I missing anything else, DJ Benhami?
Make sure you catch us on Twitch every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when we are live with the views from the 616 Moon Knight review. The chat is popping every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you are there. Watch us live. You're probably doing that right now. So thank you all for being here. We love you in the chat. Thank you very much.